I don't know how many of you enjoy track and field athletics. Anybody here? Yeah, there you go. Okay. I definitely do. I love it. And for many years in my life, I was an athlete, and then later on a technical official on track and field, and especially at All Africa Games. And it was exciting, and it was so much fun. But the best part of any athletics meeting is the relay. Perhaps it's the most difficult to officiate because you've got the changeover zones and you've got the baton and you've got this and you've got that and you've got the next thing. But it's the one event that most coaches work toward. You see, it's the proof of the pudding. If you can get those 4 athletes to get around that track as fast as they possibly can, in the zone, and it's only a 20-meter zone, 10 meters on each side of the 100-meter mark, without dropping that baton and crossing that line, man, it's the highlight of any meeting. And every time you go to, especially a school's athletics meeting, those kids scream and cheer from the time that gun goes until the time their team crosses that line. Have I got you excited about it? When I was teaching at Sutherland High School, I had 2 relay teams to coach, the under 14 and 15, and my daughter-in-law who taught at the same school had the under 16, 17s and open, and so you can imagine the competition between the 2 of us. My teams were called Botha's Babes and Jen's Chicks, and these girls had their baton with them all day. And between classes they would find each other and they would pass that baton. At break they would get onto the athletics field and they would pass that baton all the time. So it was absolute teamwork. Neither of us won because our teams all won, so that was just that. But we don't have to be on an athletics track to be children of God. And then we all know that we have a baton that we need to pass on. We need to pass the baton to the people around us, to the next generation, to our families and our friends. I do enough funerals, about 2 to 3 a month, and I keep hearing that people want to pass on the legacy of the person who has passed away. But you and I have been handed a baton of faith that God has entrusted us to carry and to run this divine relay. Christine Kane, an incredible writer, wrote material on the importance of having unstoppable faith. Every church needs champion runners, not just one, but champion runners who never give up, who persevere no matter what they encounter, who run to win, unstoppable no matter the cost. And so before I go any further, I'm going to ask Gail and a couple of the leaders just to give you each a little piece of paper and a pen, and if you've got your own pen, that would be wonderful, to fill in, share the pen. Share the pen. I could only find that amount of pens at home yesterday, and so sorry, couldn't find more. And I want everybody to get a slip of paper, young people included. That includes me, girl. So I'm a young people.
Sorry?
I'm a young people. Me.
Not even napkin.
I'm going to ask that as I'm preaching this morning, you fill in your answers, don't fill them in now. And that you give them to Gail. At the end of the sermon, we're going to collect them all, and I'll tell you why. While that's being handed out, I think you all know that we have faced many challenges in the last little while. Since 2011, I've been pursuing the Tshwane municipality to lease this land. And all I've met with is resistance. The land was given to us in 2019, in August 2019, and a few days later taken away from us for no apparent reason. We've had continual break-ins here, and I feel that perhaps today is the day that I'd like to speak to you about this. About 2 weeks ago, maybe a bit more, Gail helped me, we had a serious break-in here. After I had secured the storeroom door with a door that couldn't be broken through, they came in through the roof. And then 2 days later, they came in through the roof again. And now, enough is enough. And I get to the point where I need to get back into the starting blocks to take up that baton of faith and to run. And we as the leadership of this church come to you this morning with a possible proposal to get a place where we can be church. To have somewhere that we can call our own and build our community, and that's not going to happen here. Sometimes in desperate circumstances, desperate measures are demanded, and now's the time. Kanako. It's time. That day when they broke in through the roof the first time, Louise was here with me, and I just made a comment where I said to Louise, the time has come for me to speak to you and Heath about hiring some land from you. When the second break-in happened 2 or 3 days after that, Louise put the ball in motion and spoke to Gail because I couldn't be here. The next evening, Gail and I went and spoke to Heath and Louise, and they have graciously agreed to us renting part of their property. As the crow flies, it's about 500 meters from here. They're renting it to us at R1 a square, and they're giving us around 5,000 square meters. I approached somebody who I know very well, who continually offers his help, and he keeps on saying to me, you're not speaking to me, you're not telling me where I can help you. And I went and saw him, and he has agreed to put up a palisade fence of around 100 meters along the front of the property with a gate and a gate motor to secure the ground. Yesterday, Heath and Paddy and Tinus went and measured out. Put it up, please. That is the ground that we're going to be renting from Heath and Louise. Next slide, please. Just from a different angle, you can see that this is Lochner Road over here. over here. So the entrance will be on Lochner. This is Heath and Louise's home over here. Next slide, please. This is the land that we're going to rent, and that is where we currently are. One at the top. And as the crow flies, that's about 500 meters. So it's really not far. Yesterday, a possible site for the tent and the Wendy houses. We've negotiated to move these Wendy houses and to move, to purchase containers, a container home for Raymond and Rosie and Musa, a container home, a container office, bathroom and kitchen, so that I can have office space on the property. But I can be there at least twice a week. On Thursday evening last week, I spoke to the circuit executive, which is the ministers and the executive members from each of the 7 churches, plus our circuit exec. And I presented to them this possibility. On this coming Thursday evening, I have to present the same plus a bit more to CQM for approval, circuit quarterly meeting where the leadership of all 7 churches gather on Thursday evening to discuss matters pertaining to the church. I'd like to move the church. Please, everybody just hold your chair. No, hold your chair. I don't want anybody falling off. I want to move on the 27th of April, Freedom Day. I want my freedom. I want my freedom from fear. There are a couple of things you need to consider. You've got a voting slip. If you want to, put your name on it. If you don't, don't. It's fine. But I need to know, and the answer is just yes or no. If you're in favour of us moving the church to somewhere that we can call our own with water and electricity. We have to raise sufficient money to pay the rent every month, as well as our assessment and the other expenses that we have. And I think everybody who knows me well enough by now will know that I never speak about money. I never speak about raising money. I never speak about tithes and offerings. I never speak about how much we've got and how much we haven't got. When I came into ministry, God told me I wasn't allowed to count people and I'm not allowed to count money. And so I don't. But I am asking you today to help us meet those needs. I'm stepping out in faith. When I started back here with you in 2018, this church agreed. This church, they're coming with. This church did not have sufficient money to pay the assessment for me, and Heath and Louise just said to Ian France, God will make a way. And so God will make a way. So the second thing I'm asking you is, will you be able to assist us and help us with the move on possibly the 27th? He's complaining, but he doesn't know he's going to a better place.
Lunch.
The beauty of this is that we're going to have a place where we can actually meet during the week, have a slightly bigger kitchen, and better toilet facilities. A toilet that you can actually get into and not have to stand on the seat to close the door. It would mean that we can have more activities during the week, especially with the youth. That they would be able to meet. It means that I can be in the area at least twice a week and that you can stop in for a cup of coffee and come and we can actually be church. I want to move Raymond and Rosie and little Musa to the property with us. His name is Musa Manandi. And so we'll continue with our veggie garden, Tom, a pond. I want a pond, and our prayer chapel. It means that all the hard work that we've been put into the prayer chapel by Karen and Mias will have to be broken down and moved. I've spoken to Karen and Mias already, and Karen's first words were to me, "No problem, we just build a better one." And so my question is, are you willing to help again?
Yes.
That is my question. Now I have to take your response to CQM with me on Thursday evening. And so it's vital that you fill in that little slip of paper and we'll collect them again. You see, now's the time, Kanaka, to step out in faith and to exercise faith that is unstoppable. And I'm asking you to run this relay with me. I'm already passing the baton to people who have already stood up and said that they will help. I mean, in my leadership and Heath and Louise. You see, the exciting thing that I know is that we were born to be unstoppable. God did not give us these lives to sit back and twiddle our thumbs and wait for things to happen. A relay baton would never get around that track if somebody wasn't prepared to hand it over and another person prepared to receive. And so people of faith are lined up in lanes all over this globe, batons in hand, running the race that matters the most, and that's the divine relay. People, let me warn you that this relay is tough and the track is treacherous, and there's so many ways to mangle these exchange zones, overshoot the zone, be knocked off the track, to drop the baton, to fall and to stop running. But this race is won or lost in the exchange zone. Church needs champion runners who are never going to give up, who are going to persevere no matter what we encounter, who are going to run to win, unstoppable, no matter the cost. The other side of this coin is that if we pass this baton fluidly in the exchange zone, from person to person, from generation to generation, we speed unstoppably towards the finish line. But if we fumble, then the whole team, the whole church is going to suffer. Some runners even stop running and just walk right out of the race. I met with Councillor Peter Sutton, who's head of the finance division for Tshwane, and has just recently been reappointed into that position. I met with him, made an appointment, and I went to see him. Peter Sutton used to be a local preacher in our church. Subsequently, because he went into politics, he had to give up local preaching because you can't mix the two. I wonder why. And I went to see him, only to be told, and these are his words to me: best you find another place to put your church, because you're not going to get this land. I sat there, dumbstruck, with my tongue sticking to the roof of my mouth. I shared this with my leaders the next day. I was flat. And then things happen. Our stuff gets stolen. And a whole new opportunity gets birthed in that pain for us. Those of us who have given birth will know that it's painful. Whether it's natural birth or not, they're both painful. And in that pain, we receive a brand new life. And in the pain of all our stuff being stolen, them refusing to connect the electricity because I cannot produce a water and light account, because I don't have a water and light account, because this ground is not mine, and I'm not responsible for paying it. And Swani is just saying, that's your problem. Their property is now being damaged. It's never been our property. When we break the rules running a relay, the team is disqualified. And the same applies to our spiritual lives. When we break the rules in our spiritual lives with the Lord, we get disqualified. Teresa walked up to me this morning early and said, this morning when she was having her quiet time, God told her to tell me that He will be with me. And I know that He is. And I'm not going to break the rules. If I look at Hebrews chapter 11, it's what we call the hall of faith. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I cannot see into the future, but what I can see is God's hand of providence opening this door for me. That palisade fencing alone is going to cost in the region of 75,000 rand. And my friends, that was given to me without the bat of an eyelid. Let me tell you what happened. I sat in his office, told him about this. He agreed to it immediately. He didn't hesitate at all. I got in my car and I was on my way to go. And halfway from Pretoria West to Menandi, a phone call came through from the guy who put up the door on the storeroom to say, Rev Jen, Pastor Jen, I believe I've got some work to do for you. I said, yeah. He said, do you remember me? I said, yeah, I think you're low speaking to me at the moment. He said, that's right. When can I meet you at Menandi? I said, I'm on my way there now. He said, I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. Within a half an hour of me walking out of Sean's office, we measured up. We planned. If that's not God, then my friends, nothing is. There's something called unstoppable faith. Hebrews 11 goes on to say, for by faith, the elders obtained good testimony. By faith, we understand that the world was formed by the word of God, so that the things which were not seen were made things which are visible. Close your eyes and visualize us sitting on property we can call our own. Hebrews chapter 11 is called the Hall of Faith. The Hall of Faith. And we just have to look at the people mentioned there. Abraham, the man who was not born an Israelite or a Jew. He lived in Ur Chaldees. His father was a priest in their religion. Yet God calls Abraham, and Abraham goes. Abraham trusted God, a God that he didn't really know yet. Left Ur Chaldea and went. Abraham and Sarah had no children. And when they do eventually conceive and give birth to Isaac, God tells him to go and offer Isaac. What does he do? He believes God and he goes. What would you do? Could you say, God, now you're pushing it a bit far? Would you walk away? Or would you go? We all know the ending of the story, because faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And then I turn my attention to a woman that we all know in the scriptures, a woman by the name of Hannah, married to Elkanah, his second wife. The first wife had children, kinders by Dusaina, and she was barren. And one day she goes to the temple in Shiloh, which was where they went every year for the feasts, and she sobs before God. This barren woman called upon God, and in the process, one of the greatest characters of the Old Testament is born, Samuel. Samuel grew up to be one of Israel's finest judges, and he became Israel's first prophet, an advisor to both King Saul and King David. It is said of Samuel that he grew up and that the Lord was with him, and he didn't let any of his words go unfulfilled. You see, desperate circumstances, the circumstances we are in now, the circumstances that Hannah was in then, it was desperate. She was the brunt of everybody's fun. Because if a woman did not have children, she was continually humiliated and made the shame of the village. And to make matters worse, the other wife had Kunis Baydasena, and Hannah had the raw deal. Her name Hannah means woman of grace or gracious woman. It must have been very difficult for her to be gracious at that time. I wonder how often she wept and cried about her situation. Many people find themselves in similar situations today, where we are surrounded by really difficult circumstances, often issues beyond our control, as we in today. And desperate circumstances produce desperate people. Hannah was desperate. And in her desperation, she moved to her place in front of God. We read in 1 Samuel 1 from 1 to 11 that she was praying so intently, with her lips just moving silently, but the words that were pouring out and the emotion that was pouring out made Eli the high priest think that she was drunk. But she poured out her soul. You see, when desperate people and desperate circumstances collide, something happens. Something happens. It can either be good or it can be bad. But there are a couple of things that need to happen, and the first thing that needs to happen is we need an attitude change. to change our position. Since 2006, since May 2006, we have been here. We've made this our own. We've been comfortable here. We've been happy here. We've enjoyed being here. We've had lots of happy occasions. If I think of the potjie course competition last year, cooking potjies in the rain with this tent leaking and the water coming up from the ground, and Heath winning it and walking away with a massive hamper. And I really thought that my food was good. Obviously wasn't. But it wasn't because you didn't bring enough Gaviscon with you. You see, nothing will change unless our attitude changes. And the only thing you have control over is your attitude. We have control over nothing else. Contentment comes when we believe in God and we find our rest in Him. You see, contentment comes not with possessions, but with our heart. In 1 Samuel 1:19, it says, "And the Lord remembered her." And that is one of the things we need to realize, is that God will remember. God will remember our attitude when things have been desperate here, and our moaning and our groaning and getting cold here in the tent in the winter. But God will remember. God will remember our faithfulness. Since 2018, help me, we have been able to meet our financial commitments every month. We have not reneged on paying the assessment to the circuit once. Not once. Through COVID, when churches were struggling to make ends meet, we could help another church to make their ends meet. Little Menangi. When desperate circumstances and desperate people collide, something happens. And God will remember. And then we must remember to be faithful and to be thankful. I'm very grateful and thankful for the years that we've spent here. I remember one Good Friday morning, getting here really early, and a couple of us sitting in the church praying for the congregation before they came, and Nikki just praying in tongues for me. I'm thankful. I'm thankful to people like Mias and Karin, who, when I approached them about the prayer chapel, didn't hesitate. I'm thankful to every person who has done stuff for this church. Gail, you've been the most incredible woman of God. Thank you. Andre, where are you? I saw him just now. There he is. No. Phones me, there he is. Phones me yesterday to say, I'm bringing chairs tomorrow. Thank you. You see, when we let praise and thankfulness dominate our hearts and minds, negativity takes a backseat. What's the result of that? God will do more than we ask or think. You see, God didn't just leave Hannah there with one little boy, Samuel, who she gave away when he was 8 years old to go and work in the temple with Eli. His job was to make sure that the lamp in front of the Ark of the Covenant was always burning, because it had to. So little Samuel at the age of 8, are there any 8-year-olds sitting here? There's one. There's an 8-year-old, thank you. Would have to get up in the middle of the night to go and fill up that oil lamp with oil so that the light never went out. And Samuel did that. Samuel did that. But God didn't leave Hannah there. He honored her with 3 more sons and 2 more daughters, from nothing to 6. Well, how amazing is that? She never ever imagined that. She just wanted one. But you see, God doesn't leave it there. And so today many parents give their daughters the name Hannah. It's the 25th most popular names in the top 200 names for children, for girls. And so today, I'm thankful. And I honor God for what He's done. I don't know what you've written on your pieces of paper. Gail will tell me later on today when I finished at St. John's and collapsed in a heap because I'm a bit tired on a Sunday after preaching twice. But I leave that with you today. The service is being recorded and we'll put it out on the congregation group. For those of our congregation who are not here today, if you want to contact Gail, please do so. And she can fill in a form for you so that we can take all these numbers through to CQM. It comes with a cost and it comes with a price. But I've received the baton and boy, I'm running. Boy, I'm running. So that we can actually get this done. And I would love to have a picnic on the 27th on our new ground. You might say, yes, but I'm old and I can't do anything. I'm sure most of us can hold a pole when you move a tent. I'm sure most of us can bring a flask of coffee or hot water and a dirty tea bag for Nikki. But she just dirties water while we're working and getting this all done.
What the important stuff? Chocolate cake.
I forgot the important stuff. Can anybody please bring chocolate cake? Thanks, Susan. There you go. We are organized. Organized. And so, my friends, that is what I needed to speak to you about today. I see it as an opportunity for us to move to a place that we can call our own and to actually become church. That we no longer huurders here, but that we can go and settle our roots. In Jesus' name, amen.